Good evening and welcome to the Jackson Christian Eagle Show, one of the most electrifying hours that you will ever have in sports entertainment, along with my two good friends here, Brian Bullard and the head coach, Darby Palmer. We've got a series of guests tonight that you won't believe. You need to call 5 people right now and tell them that the Eagle Show is on. It will make your night. Gentlemen, glad to have you here. The air not only is full of electricity, but when you're hot, you're hot. We were hot Friday night.
Absolutely. You know, even coming off a practice week where we weren't even able to be outside because it was so hot last week, our guys showed a lot of maturity, and we were able to go into Peabody and execute at a high level.
And coaches, we were making a little adjustment. He says I can bring it up a little bit. And that's what we do because we are doing that. But the adjustments, I got to talk about that for a little bit. We all – and mine is as high as it'll go, dude. And the adjustments that we made early, because they got through and almost blocked the punt. Mm-hmm. That's probably Zach's shortest punt, but not by his fault. And sometimes when you're a punter, you got to curl that foot back towards you instead of extend it. But y'all made some adjustments. The kids played hard all night. Even when we went deep into our bench, everybody contributed.
Absolutely, and it's always a fun night when we can get the whole team involved in a victory like we did. And it's a testament to our guys going back and having walked through practices in the gym and only being able to practice outside late at night and having that maturity to go in and execute in a tough environment at Peabody. It's a testament to the leadership on our team, our captains, but also everybody buying into that.
Brian, you had something to do that offensive line that you had to be proud of those kids because they got after it. And Peabody had Ace Meadows, and Ace played as hard as he could, but we did a good job, not only on him, but once we got adjusted after about that third series, we looked like a machine.
Absolutely. And we, going into that environment, you don't know how kids are going to respond. We haven't played there. And when you get over there, there's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of it's a little bit overwhelming. Their entrance was really cool, where their players are coming out together and all that. And so the game day atmosphere is something that you kind of wonder if our kids are going to get caught up in. But it looked like to me that our kids embraced it, and it got me excited. And before we ran out, and the music was playing, and they did their big entrance, and they were flipping the coin and doing all that. Our kids were excited. And sometimes you look around in big games and big environments like that, and you see a little bit of tenseness. I don't even know if tenseness is a word, but I'm going to use it. They're uptight and all those things, but this team wasn't bothered by the moment. And we went over and, like you said, both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, really got after them and put some pressure on them. And Peabody's a team that I think you'll look down the road and they're going to figure some things out. They have speed, they have size, all those things. They're just breaking in. New offensive line. They got a lot of young guys that played some JV reps and that sort of thing. But I think they'll figure it out. But at the same time, you talk about coming out and executing, having 6 different guys score, all those things that happened in that game, the turnovers, our defense, and we'll talk to one of those guys here in a little bit about some of those things. But just overall, everybody contributed. Good night, and it was a great time for us.
Well, that's right. We won the wrestling matches, catching passes and things like that. And I'm obviously referring to Trent Carrier, one of our guests tonight, special guest. Brooks Goff is going to be here, and what a night he had. And people, if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm tracking things down. And sometimes when you're off splitters, it gets like that. But what about, we expect Austin to do super, and he did. We expect Jalen to do super, and he did. Kai White's going to be an unlicensed chiropractor, not year-round playing linebacker. What about some of those guys? You don't hear much about our line, but I saw Brother Smith pulling and leading on some of our play. I saw Tristan Nash. He keeps going like that. Someday maybe we'll see him in the NFL at the left tackle because he's the quarterback's best friend protecting that blind side.
That's right. And even a guy like that's here tonight, Brooks Goff, Kai gets a lot of attention by setting our front and making a lot of our checks. But Brooks does an outstanding job on the edge for us, making us right on the edge with what we do defensively. And anytime that you're having the night that he had 2 fumble recoveries, an interception, and a couple of big tackles where their running back was about to break through, and he cleaned it up for us, and he makes us right on the edge.
He saved 2 touchdowns, I know. One of them on a kickoff. I thought it was gone. And then the running play, he got up in there. He was the last man. Nobody was going to catch him. And y'all said something right. I want people to understand. Peabody is young, but we are too. Our kids came and executed. You had a hard time finding some negative grades on some things. But Peabody is going to win some football games this year. We were ready.
Yes, sir. And going back to film, we did a lot of things well, but there's also a lot of things that we can correct. You know, effort was there, and effort's a non-negotiable in our program. We're going to fly to the football. We're going to finish to the whistle, and our guys did that. And we are young at a lot of key areas, but a lot of guys are starting to figure it out and grow up.
You're absolutely right on that. Guys, what about this week at school now? We've had a lot. Yesterday you had cross-country, volleyball. JV football was played last night against TCA. We also, I believe the middle school had a soccer game last night, right? Or am I wrong about that? Tonight we've got golf, volleyball, and elementary football has been canceled, but the Eagles show right now at 7.
That's right, and we had volleyball going right now against Fade Academy, and you mentioned something last night with our JV team, and it was awesome to see those guys that put in so much time and effort and reps into practice, repping what the other team does for us to get out there on the field and seeing them play, and just exciting. JV games are fun, and you know, you get to see kind of a glimpse into the future with some of those guys, and they got after it last night.
Absolutely. Guys, before we take our first break, any quick statement we need to make? We've got a lot of great sports going, and we play just about everything the TSSAA has. We're not into lacrosse yet, but I hope I didn't open up a can of worms, but we need people to get out and support our kids at all these sports. Come Friday night, I know it's a long trip, but come on up to Good Pasture. It'll be well worth it to see 2 fine football teams play.
Absolutely, and our fan base travels well. Our school motto is family, and we believe in that, and there's a lot of times where anytime there's a sporting event going on in Jackson Christian's campus, there's going to be a big crowd there. And so it's always a family atmosphere, and we would love for everybody to come down to Nashville and support us versus a very talented Good Pasture team and a well-coached team.
Absolutely. We're going to take our first break, make a couple of adjustments, and when we come back, I understand the good doctor will be with us, and what a guy he is. He and I have talked out in the hall of the school before, and Dr. Lonis is really a big supporter of Jackson Christian Athletics, and he definitely is a big supporter of academics, but fun guy to be around. We're going to take that time out. We'll come back after these timely messages.
This is Lee Johnson.
And this is Jason Lockridge from Southern Capital Advisors.
We're thankful for the Jackson Christian family and are honored to help lay a foundation that will build our community for years to come.
Welcome to Southern Capital Field, and go Eagles!
Dynamics Physical Therapy, your elite provider in sports medicine and performance. Now serving communities throughout West Tennessee.
Do you want your smile to say it all? At Elite Dental Care, we'll make you and your family feel comfortable and secure with a variety of services and state-of-the-art care. We offer sedation dentistry that will make your time in the dental chair comfortable and relaxed. Come by and see our newly renovated and expanded office in Jackson, or one of our other convenient locations in Trenton or Dyersburg. Trust your smile with Elite Dental Care, and let your smile say it all.
Downtown is thriving, and the Blacksmith Restaurant is leading the pack. From the rustic dining room to the unmatched patio, eating local with family is what we're about. Live local, eat local, relax local.
We are back, and this is a high-energy show, and I guarantee you we've got a guy sitting with us. We may have to dress him out. We've got to check him out and see if he's got any eligibility left. We're very pleased to welcome Dr. Billy Lotus to us, and as president of Jackson Christian, you came here in June, and he's got the best smile in the world. Make sure he's smiling for you. He has got enthusiasm, and we are just glad to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here tonight. One of my favorite places to come to in town here.
Dr. Lonis, we're still trying to work on some technical stuff here, but I'm going to go ahead and just, we want to welcome you again to the show. I know you were excited to accept the invitation, and we're happy to have you here tonight. What are your takeaways so far from the early football season? We played 2 games. What are some things that have stuck out to you so far?
Well, I think the football games have been real exciting. I like the fan base, even traveling last week to Trenton. A lot of fans. I know it's kind of close, but we had a lot of students there, a lot of parents, other family, fans showed up at the game, so that's exciting. It's a nice atmosphere. The team, from my perspective, has been playing really good. And I'm not a football expert, so you can correct me on that things. But it's been an exciting atmosphere to be in and to watch that and get some really big plays. I can tell that the team has worked hard in the off season, and they're coming out and they're getting things done.
So, transition a little bit. You move in, whirlwind of things going on, trying to move across however many states and all those things and get adjusted right. And so, what are some things that your early takeaways from Jackson Christian? What have you seen from students to faculty to parents? What are some things that really stick out to you as far as positives for our Jackson Christian community?
I'll say one of the first things that stood out to me is how many people truly love Jackson Christian School. We talk about the Jackson Christian family. It goes beyond just the students, the faculty, staff that work there. It is a community. I stepped in and I discovered that there are a lot of good people at Jackson Christian doing a lot of good things, and they really care about the school, about the students, about the community, and you can pretty much see that every day when you walk into the building. Every day when I drive to work, I think to myself, it's a great day to be an Eagle. And I know you've heard me say that several times on campus, and I truly mean that. Yeah. It's been a great atmosphere to step into.
Talk about some of the other sports. I see you on campus quite a bit. What are some other? Have you been to volleyball, softball, all those things? And what have your experiences been there? The same kind of support that you see on Friday night, maybe just a little bit lesser crowd, or talk about that a little bit.
It has been a little bit lesser crowd. Unfortunately, I have seen about 2 minutes of volleyball just with my schedule. I tried to get there last night after the board meeting and walked in just as it was ending, but still a pretty decent crowd there last week. I was able to watch the girls' soccer team, about half of their game. Again, I think it's local. We could get more people out to support them in the sports, the females playing, but it's still a good time there. I'm glad that the weather has shifted a little bit because I will tell you this, last Thursday watching girls' soccer, it was miserable because it was about 137 degrees at 8 o'clock when they kicked off.
That's right, and hoping that we get some of this fair weather to kind of stay around a little bit. I had a conversation today about when we were gonna interview you, and one of the teachers they said something about ask him about the backwards hat Friday at the game, and I looked up. I was just putting some chairs up and that sort of stuff, and I look up and I see you coming over, polo on, backwards hat, you're sweating. You just start grabbing some chairs and start helping out and kind of jumping in. What was that about? And is that an alter ego, or is that just it's hot and it's time to work, and so I'm gonna get to work?
It may sometimes be an alter ego type thing. I hadn't really thought about it from that. It was hot, and I had been fanning myself, and I was tired of the bill being in the front, so I flipped it around to the back. And it just happened to work out well because I saw you guys putting up chairs, and I'm going to jump in and help out whenever I can. And, it's time to go to work. So Yeah, there may be occasions that you see me wearing a backwards hat. That's just how I roll sometimes.
Absolutely, and obviously we appreciate the help, any help after games, getting all that cleaned up. And Coach Joe, you got something?
Yeah, and I think people need to know about Dr. Lonis up close and personal. You came here from Nebraska, which is a pretty good football state. They even have in the small towns the 8-man football and all that. Did you get to see much football? Because I know this young man put a lot of time in on criminal justice at York University in York, Nebraska.
Yes, sir. York, where we came from, plays 11-man.
Yes.
Some of the smaller communities around do the 8-man. Never went to watch any of those games, but pretty much every Friday night home game, I was there in the stadium. One of the things that we need to talk to, I don't know who to talk to about this. It's probably me.
Okay.
Every time that the school my kids went to there at York, they scored a touchdown, they fired a cannon. Every time. And it would scare you to death if you forgot about that cannon. So we need to bring a cannon to Jackson Christian.
Hey, just as long as they don't shoot our eagle.
We may not be able to afford it because we've been scoring so much.
That's right. That's right. That's not a bad thing.
And you're right. That is a great tradition. The San Diego Chargers, once upon a time. Covington over in Covington, Tennessee, has a cannon. Jackson High, we like to kind of silence it, but it is a great thing. And that's something, the tradition and pageantry, not of college football. We've got it. You know we have the best small band in America at Jackson Christian School.
Yes, sir. My son is one of the percussionists. So I've spent a lot of time watching some band rehearsals and seeing what they're going to do when it's time for them to get in their competitions. I'm looking forward to them being ready to perform a little bit more of their halftime show here in the near future.
Absolutely. I got to get back to the criminal justice.
Yes,
people.
sir.
This gentleman developed the curriculum at York. Correct me anything I say wrong. And did such a wonderful job. And I've had some of my former students that taught it, like at Jackson State. Matter of fact, Tommy Ciparillo is teaching that right now. Used to be an official, and that's another official, Brian, that we've lost out of officiating.
He's a good one.
He's a good one. But that's not easy to develop that curriculum. And then I believe you became provost at York.
Yes, went out there 2004 and 2008. I developed the criminal justice degree program, led that for about the 15 years there, and then moved into the provost position the year before I came here. And for those that don't know, provost is essentially the vice president of academic affairs with a few extra duties. I just know a lot of people aren't familiar with that term.
And, of course, you have been in Christian education, which is so important. And I'm going to make you do what the players do. We need to hear your favorite Bible verse.
Oh, I should have come prepared. You showed me their stuff.
Put you on the spot.
It's out of Micah. Don't hold me to I can't give you chapter and verse. I should know it. And
you just tell us about it. But the kids know. They had to fill it out because at Jackson Christian it is an important thing.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you because I don't want to tell you wrong. And my wife took my phone, or I'd look it up.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I do have it.
Now, you got a Huntsville, Alabama background and Faulkner University, which is a fine institution of learning, too.
Yes, it is. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, lived there for 28 years of my life. Alabama, went down to Faulkner, stuck around and went to law school there. Went back to Huntsville for a few years before we moved to York.
Okay. Some goals you have for Jackson Christian School.
Some goals. I came into a pretty good situation. We've got good people. We've got good programs. We got things kind of going in the right direction. I just want to figure out how we're going to take that a step further to keep growing. Maybe start looking at some facilities, potentially about what we can do improvement there, continue to improve our academics, ACT scores. One of my goals here is to make Jackson Christian the premier private school in Jackson, Tennessee, maybe even in the state. And
with your energy, I think you can do that.
Well, thank you, sir.
Brian, you got anything else you want to ask?
No, I just we appreciate him coming on, and we can give him that final comment, Coach, and then
that's
go
right.
To a break.
Dr. Lonis, it is your turn to talk to the thousands, and I do literally mean that, listening to this show. It has grown that much, and you got people, and I believe our man in Kuala Lumpur is listening tonight in Malaysia. So it's your turn.
All I got to say is thank you both for having me on this evening, and as I often say around campus, it's a great day to be an Eagle.
Absolutely. Will you come back and be with us again sometime?
Yes, sir. You just let me know, and I will be here.
And I'm going to hold him to coming by either at halftime or or the pregame show. And we're going to have two people associated with Jackson Christian on the pregame show. You have heard Dr. Billy Lonis, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm impressed. But when I met him, and he won me over, he was moving faster than a speeding bullet, had the wonderful smile, and looked like a man that knew what he was doing. And we found out he more than knows what he's doing. We're glad to have you here, but let's take that time out at Hub City Deli. We'll be back after this important timeout. Whether you're relocating into Jackson or just wanting something new and different, call Kenny Sutherland with 5-Star Real Estate Services. He can help make your dreams become a reality. With over 20 years experience and helping over 1,000 families with their new home purchases, there's a reason that he is your new construction expert and home buying specialist. Call Kenny today, direct at 731-444-1164 or 731-661-9000. And we are back making a few changes, and Gary, I'll make a little adjustment on that. And that's the thing that got a victory for the football team, was making adjustments the other night. And with us, Coach Rob Phillips. But before we do much with this, I understand that Friday night I get to sit beside your father.
Yeah, my dad does the play-by-play. He still teaches 8th grade American history there at Good Pasture. So he coached there for a long time.
Absolutely. Understand he does a fine job. He'll be on the National Federation broadcast, but we will have the great camera work of Worthy Road Studios. And to go with a great football team, I'm going to tell you what now, thought your kids did a super job on defense, because the quarterback the other night, Donald, he's got speed. That running back, Smith, he can carry the load to the house anytime. And I keep mentioning it because of 2 I call touchdown saving tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, and Brooks Goff and the interception. What an effort.
Oh, yeah, Brooks has really turned it on this year, and we knew he was going to be ready to play coming into this season. But as far as the defense as a whole, like they are so good in practice and in games about just doing their job. And you know, Coach P always talks about owning your 111th, and I know sometimes to some people that sounds cheesy, but it's true. These guys really do take pride in what their job is supposed to be.
Well, in theory, in football, everybody has to do their job. And if they don't do their job, one man cannot do his job, and I've seen touchdowns scored. So the 111th, to me, is very important. If I ever coach basketball again, which probably isn't going to happen, they better own their 1/5 while they're out there. Coach, I'm going to turn it over because you know the inside. What an effort. You had to have a good game plan. The kids had to work hard, and the coaches had to coach hard.
I'm gonna take it somewhere different first, just to put Coach Phillips on the spot just a little bit. Not too bad, but we're going to Good Pasture, going back home for you. What kind of emotions? What kind of emotions does that bring for you, your dad, your family? What are you most excited about for Friday night?
I probably haven't been – I'm trying to think the last – I know I haven't been back to a game since I've been coaching, which started in, the fall of 2012. And I think even before that, like it may have been 2009 when I last went to a game there. I told somebody else that I've never taken in a game from the visitor sideline at that place, but I did – I started in school there 1992, and I graduated in 2007, so I was there a very long time, and my dad started in 88, and so, I spent my life there, and it's going to be weird, but it's going to be fun. When we got them on the schedule last spring, I was very excited, and it's been – I would be lying if I said it hasn't been hard these last 2 weeks to not look to this one just because of the emotions. We know it's a non-region game, and so in the end, wins and losses don't matter. Of course, I want to win every one of them, but in the end, just the emotions of going home.
So putting that aside, and once that wears off and kickoff's about to happen, What does our defense have to do, continue to do, and build on from our first 2 games against Goodpasture? And if folks are watching there or watching online, what can they expect from our defense, and what are we trying to stop and slow down from the Goodpasture offense?
Well, they've got a really good running quarterback, and it's going to be a little bit different from this past week where this guy's got a lot more, to me, power, as opposed to last week it was more quickness and getting outside. They like to run inside. They like to run the jet sweep around the edge, which we've been good at so far, so hopefully we can keep that up. They've got a really good receiver that's been offered by Vanderbilt, and so being able to make sure that we don't give up a big play over the top or let him get open. And he's going to make plays. I mean, that's a good ball player. So just being able to do that and kind of doing some of the same things that we've done the first 2 weeks.
So if somebody's watching right now tonight or goes back and watches this, why is it difficult to account for a running quarterback? What makes that difficult as a defensive coordinator in getting our guys to kind of buy into that scheme?
I mean, you're always looking at certain reads, and so, whether it's a guard or an H-back or a running back that you're reading that week, or maybe multiple things depending on formation, reading that key that's going to take you to the ball, and also having your pass drop responsibility with the secondary and linebackers, but then always knowing that a guy can pull it on that handoff and run, or get a lead blocker from the running back and he can follow him. It just adds a kind of another dimension that you've got to be kind of concerned about.
So there's kind of some staples on our defense. You got Caleb Newsom, you got Big Sed in the middle, you got Kai in the middle. Talk about maybe somebody that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit as far as from our perspective, defensive perspective, that he may not pop out on film or not film, but on the broadcast on a Friday night, but that we know and folks can look and go, man, that guy's just doing his job. Nate, talk about somebody in particular.
I mean, you mentioned 2 up front, but the third, Gavin Walker, has come on big. And, it's funny, the 2 people that, if you'd have asked me this question, if I'd have known you were asking this question ahead of time, I would have said Gavin, because coming into this year we were kind of like, we got to have somebody, a third guy step up, especially in this new scheme. But then the other one would have been Brooks, who you're going to hear from later. And I think Brooks, now it's after Friday, he's not under the radar anymore just because the turnovers.
Anymore.
Yeah.
So, and Coach, I'm asking one more, then I'll go back to you. I want to talk about the defensive line, not just because that's the position I coach, but Coach Gillum. And that jump that he's helped Gavin with, and the jump that he's helped Sed with, and Caleb, and even some of those young guys we got to watch last night that held their own against a pretty good, TCA JV line. Just talk about kind of the ins and outs of that and the hand technique and all those things that he brings to our coaching staff.
Coach Gillum this summer did an incredible job, and I kept talking to almost every day. I would catch the D-line before they would leave, and I would say, guys, if you can get through June and the first part of July, because we're doing the same daily drills every day, you're going to get to the fun part, basically payday, when you get to July, end of July and August. And those guys bought in. I don't know many that missed workouts in June and July and worked. Almost every defensive day they did the same thing, just hand placement, stance and start, coming off the ball. And that is a credit to Coach Gillum and Coach Bull here. I mean, I know he wants to pass it off to Coach Gillum too, but these 2 guys have worked and done a lot of great stuff with our defensive line. And that's where it all starts on Friday nights.
Absolutely. 2 things I've gotten, and a couple of fun questions. You've done those before with us. But field position is so important. We want the coverage so that they got to drive it 90 yards, and that helps your defense a whole lot, because in high school a lot of drives break down, but we don't want to turn that ball over and give them 30-yard drives.
Yeah, but I'll say this. We've got enough confidence in our defense right now, and this may just be me and maybe these other coaches too. I've got enough confidence in this defense where there may be times we're at midfield, or maybe we're even on our side of and I'll look at Darby and say, hey, you can go for it. We got it. if we end up turning the ball over, we got it. And our defense plays with that confidence.
And he
too.
believes in you and your defense too, Coach. Coach did such a great job. I'm going to give him the Interviewer of the Week award. It's your turn to say anything to all this great. We got thousands listening tonight. I'm serious. Before this broadcast is over, there could easily be 2,000 people listening, but it's your turn.
I have just been blown away, first off, by the school spirit that we have right now. And I know a lot of that credit goes to guys like Reed Cooper and Carson Holt, but our junior and senior class are really leading our school with school spirit. And I've been super impressed with how they've shown up, led pep rallies. They're putting up signs in the hallway. It's awesome to watch.
Absolutely. Coach Rob Phillips, now I want you to listen to me, but you can grab a glimpse of his dad and stuff. The only difference is it costs you to listen to his dad talk on a broadcast. In my case, Worthy Road Studios goes out, sells those sponsors and stuff, and our coaching staff, starting with athletic director and head coach Darby Palmer, right down. This gentleman talks football all the time with us. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, more stuff and interviews with the young men.
We realize you have a busy lifestyle, and at the Bank of Jackson, we're here to help you fulfill all of your financial needs, personal and business loans, mortgages, online banking and bill pay, and so much more. Serving the Jackson area for 25 years. The Bank of Jackson, your down-home community bank. You belong here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We are back here at Hub City Deli on the Jackson Christian Eagles Show. As I told you earlier, the most electrifying show in sports entertainment around here. And a young man with me, he provided so much excitement. Boy, everybody was already, the Peabody people were cheering the touchdown. He had 2 touchdown-saving tackles. He was all over the football. He owned it. 2 fumble recoveries and a picked-off pass. Which one do you want to talk about, Brooks? You can talk about any one of those situations.
I mean, I'd say my favorite was the interception. It was a very good play. I read the quarterback and got the pick.
Oh, absolutely. Coach, I'm going to let you did such a good job jump in there, and then I'll come back with the niceties and the fun stuff for Brooks.
Absolutely. Brooks, so glad you're with us tonight. We were going to talk a little bit about that interception, and let's get let's dive a little deeper into it. We like to let folks that are listening kind of understand what you saw on those things. So talk about your coverage on that play and what you saw from the quarterback and how the routes were and all those things.
So I read pass from the end man, and I started taking my pass drop, and then I see the running back run out of the backfield, and so I get hands, and then he goes out, and I have the flats, and I look at the quarterback. I see he's looking at the running back, and then he throws it. I'm there.
Great. It was a great play. Let's talk a little bit about the end of that. The guy on the sideline, it got a little heated over there. He made the tackle, and your helmet came off. And what was your response there and your teammates' response? And a lot of energy.
Yes, it got pretty heated, pretty chippy. Threw my helmet off. We got up, and he pushed me, and then I pointed at him. And then Blake came in and pushed him and said some stuff. But
so we had the interception there, and defense. The defense played well all night. What were your initial thoughts going to Peabody, a team that we hadn't played since you've been here, in a bigger school with some tradition? What were your thoughts in the team's kind of vibes going into that game?
I knew it was going to be a hard physical game, and we went out and hit them in the mouth.
So that a big team, big line, and like we talked a little bit about earlier, they're just going to get better once they kind of gel together. Brooks, talk about our defense. Talk about the camaraderie, the excitement that you guys. I get to stand in the back of our team periods every day and watch our line and just kind of hear you guys communicating, talking to one another, getting excited about playing. Where has that started? Who leads that, or is it more of just a collective effort?
I'd say everybody works well together. I'd say the main part of our defense, the leaders, is our linebacker group. We really set the tone and set the energy.
So you got a week of practice that's interrupted. Very hot outside. We're inside, we're outside, we're nighttime, all those things. But it didn't seem to play a factor in y'all's preparation. Do you guys, and we watch film sometimes as a group and obviously as a coaching staff, do you guys watch together and talk about it, or do you guys watch on your own and kind of share things, or how does that work from a film study perspective for you guys individually?
Yeah, we will. Most everybody watches it on their own, and then we'll talk with each other about stuff we see and plan things. Is
there a guy that, Coach, and I'm going to come to you, is there a guy that, we talked about this with Coach Phillips, doesn't get a whole lot of maybe publicity or any of those things, but just kind of an unsung leader or kind of hero of our defense right now?
I'd say, like, our whole defensive line, they do their job really well, and they disrupt a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
I got to ask you, Brooks, about how did it feel on those two tackles? You locked on, and you were the last vestige of defense left before they broke for touchdowns. Any special feeling, or you just have to do your job?
I was just doing my job, getting the tackle.
That's what I like about this young man. Let's meet him up close and personal. You're part of the class of 2025. You wear number 7 now. If that was baseball, it'd be Mickey Mantle and some of the old-timers. Jersey. Any reason why you wear 7, or you just like that number?
I like the number.
It's a good lucky number, too, and he is good. Now, you've been at Jackson Christian, 3 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about favorite sports memories?
My favorite sports memory would be I play tennis, and so we were playing in this tennis tournament, and I had got down 5-0. Then I ended up coming back and winning that game. That was my favorite.
Absolutely. We did well in tennis last year. We get better. We're going to even get better this year, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
And next year will be a big year in that. Now, for football, I think a lot of the guys, and I agree with them, it was a favorite moment. But your favorite football moment at Jackson Christian?
Getting to the semifinals last year. That was my favorite.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, it was special.
We want to get there this year, too. And this time we're going to hog tie and tackle Brother Curtis a little better than we did. But we did all right, and we got there, and that was great. Now, your favorite class is history. Who teaches that class?
Miss Fran Baker.
Okay. She does a good job, doesn't she?
She does.
Oh, I know you love that. What about food, both at school and just away from school?
I got to say, I love bread, but I also enjoy meat.
He does. Well, he's a good, strong young man for a guy. He just weighs 180. I bet there's not an ounce of fat on this young man anywhere. You like Coach Irv's weightlifting program too, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, favorite Bible verse?
Acts 17:24.
And that is a very good verse. And, folks, if you don't know it, look it up. What about, we know tennis. Do you do anything else besides tennis? Of course, it's kind of football in the fall and tennis in the spring. You don't sneak anything in between, do you?
I play some church league basketball.
Now, you don't play with Blake Rowland or Lance. Lance is gone, but in that group.
No.
What group do you play church league basketball
Campbell
with?
Street, Church of Christ.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a good place to go, and that is a good church. As a matter of fact, some of our youngest kids used to be, matter of fact, my granddaughter, before they moved to Franklin, was out there, and that's where the pre-kindergarten was, and she loved going there, and I know you too. I can tell that you. Now, I need you to help. Your hobby is something my wife needs help with. Tell them what your hobby is.
My hobby is pickleball.
I can't coach her on that. I'm going to have to pay you or something to come over here and teach her how to play pickleball. And I know that another fun fact about you is you have a favorite character. You want to tell them who that character is?
Yes, I love Spider-Man.
Do you play football a little bit like Spider-Man?
You could say that, I guess.
Do you like the cartoon of Spider-Man better than the movies, or you like the movies?
I like all of it.
You like it all. Oh, it's Spider-Man right now. Maybe we need to create a Spider-Man position, because he was all over the field. And when he slings his web like Spider-Man, you are tackling. And we love that to death. anything that you want to say to the people out there? And Coach, before we do that, have you got any other question? I feel like I've left something out. This guy's got me electrified. I am still – I've watched the game 4 times already now from last week because you did some great things. But Coach,
the only thing I would say, and there seems to be, and you can comment on this, Brooks, there seems to be some people are super nice and quiet and reserved, and like when they get on the field, that switch is flipped. And what does that for you, Brooks? Because you're a different cat when you're out there playing with your teammates and playing defense. What is that? Is that music? Is it just the game? Is it the lights? What is that for you?
I mean, it's getting out there and hitting somebody. It gets me going.
Absolutely. Also, actually, I was looking at Austin's sheet. Yours is in front. Brooks, you had a great game, but is there anything? It's your turn, your time to say anything to all these Jackson Christian School fans, and you've got a following too, because I got a bunch of text on Saturday about your game. It's your turn to talk to them.
Yeah, one thing I'd say is our preparation and our film study was very indicative to the win Friday. And then I'd also like to say thanks to everyone watching, and go Eagles.
Absolutely, and that's the way. Go Eagles. Keep an eye on this young man, number 7. And so, like I say, sometimes he may be number 7 on the field, but for Eagle fans, he's another one of our young men that's number 1 in your heart. Brooks, thank you for being with us, and let's go this week and get good pasture. Folks, we'll be back at Hub City Deli with Austin Kelly after this important timeout.
Hello, folks. This is Gary Deaton, right here at Deaton's Carpet One. I want to let you know we've been in business for 48 years. Here's what I believe has made the difference. Our lifetime labor warranty on everything we install. Our healthy living installation. Bacteria and germs cannot survive in our new flooring. Our beautiful guarantee. If you don't just love it, we'll replace it. It will make your flooring experience priceless. We're located on Freedom Highway, 1000 Highway 45 bypass in good old Jackson, Tennessee.
We are back, and we are having so much fun. And a young man that I've kind of watched growing up, his grandfather, a very good friend. He and I used to do some radio together. He does other things. His main business. But Austin Kelly, the quarterback, 2 games in a row. Coach, I'd say right now he's hotter than that $2 pistol they always talk about. Throwing the football, he's making good reads. And I am proud of you, but we're going to let Coach go first with some technical stuff that he'll want to ask you. Then we're going to have some fun questions.
Yeah, Austin, thanks for being here with us tonight. Super excited to have you on the show. Let's talk a little bit about Peabody, your numbers, and I know you don't want us to do this, but it's good for people to understand what you've done in 2 games, and obviously you'll attribute that to our guys and your guys. So 15 of 20. 329, 5 total touchdowns. That's our first 300-yard passing performance since Aaron Smith against Friendship. Were you at that game?
Yes, sir.
That was a fun game. We went to Friendship in the playoffs, and that was awesome. Season stats: 29 for 40 for 518, 8 total touchdowns, 1 pick, and then 73% completion. And it was a night that 6 different guys scored, yourself included on a run there. Jay, 9 catches, almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Daniel with a big night. Trent with the big catch. Talk about, for the folks that are listening, talk about the game plan and execution and what you guys saw out on the field. And was it what we expected, or did they do some stuff that was different?
Yes, sir. So we started that Sunday, and we went over film, and we stayed after practice running routes and going over their coverages, what's going to be there and what's not going to be there. And we worked so much that week because we knew Peabody was going to be a great team, a hard team to beat. And as we got out there, things started to slow down, and we saw the coverages that we broke down. We were like, it's going to work. And I went out there. Our line executed very well. I mean, in the passing game, I didn't get touched hardly at all. I threw it out to our receivers. They made plays, and it just all came together. It was a great game.
So we talked to Brooks about this, and first time for me going to Peabody and playing in a game, coaching in a game. Big-time environment. one that'll rival the playoffs once we get there and all those things. And was it something that you guys as a team, did we embrace that? Were we loose? Kind of what was our vibes going into that game?
Well, going into the game, we were all amped up and ready to go, but I talked to all the guys, us captains, and we were like, hey, we know we play better when we're loose. And we went out there and just act like we were playing backyard football.
Yeah. Talk about 2 plays specifically. We motioned Jalen over, and you see a safety kind of bump, but not really. You look out and you see one-on-one. What are your thoughts? And you and Jay, I know, kind of made eye contact on that play. What were you seeing from that? And did you get a little excited when they didn't move anybody over there?
Yes, sir. So we had motioned Jay out and one-on-one coverage, and that safety he was still playing kind of toward the box, and we knew it was one-on-one, so we worked, and Jay knew he had an outside release and one-on-one coverage with a corner, and I felt confident with Jay going up and getting it, and put up a ball in his area, and he went and made a play. So
along those lines, you got Trent Carrier, who, if you compare Trent and Jalen as far as athleticism, you wouldn't put those guys. Jay's he's a little bit better athlete there, but Trent, man, talk about the play that he goes up and just takes it away from the kid and showed off his own athleticism there and scores. Talk about that play.
Yeah, we had a concept drawn up, and we had one-on-one outside, and I rolled out, and I saw Trent was one-on-one, so I threw it up. I thought he was going to make the play, and he went up and just took it from the guy. I'm like, all right, Trent, we see.
Everybody kind of looked around like, did Trent just do that? And I'm not slighting him at all. He has come, man, so far in our program, and he's another weapon that we have, and just did a great job. Daniel Green, what is it? Is it a good feeling to have a 6'5" kind of safety blanket there in the middle, and what does he bring to our offense?
He brings a lot. I mean, probably one of the easiest targets to throw to. I mean, you just look down the field and you see, we call him the Jolly Green Giant, running down the field. But Daniel, he does a very good job blocking, running routes, and he's one of the smartest players on the field, and he knows what he's doing at all times.
Pretty good hands over at first base, too. And
yes,
if you don't know about Austin, he's our shortstop. He makes the throw from the hole. And Daniel at 6'5" gives him a really good target to throw to. And he can stretch pretty good, too. I've watched him get out there, and he picked up some balls that all of us have thrown to him that bounce every once in a while, and he can go and get it. But got to ask you about quarterbacking. Hot day. I know you probably keep a small towel or something. How tough is it throwing a football with the moisture on your hands?
Oh, it gets pretty tough. We got some towels on the sideline. I try to get my hands as dry as I can, but once you get out there and it's hot, the ball's wet from all that sweat that Eli's got on it, and dew is starting to get on the grass. It's starting to get later. It's like throwing I don't even know, just a ball of wetness, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And this young man, he can make all the throws, and I'm going to say it a second. He can make all the throws. I'm going to give you an unusual question. Some people like to throw the back shoulder throw. Some like to throw the fly. Some like to throw the slant. Some like to get their tight end or somebody dragging across the field. Some love to throw the out. And I know you can throw the out. You don't want to catch his pass when he throws the out because he puts a little hot mustard on that out pass. What's your favorite throw of all of them?
I don't know. I like slinging it, so probably anything deep.
Well, the fly, the long back shoulder throw, there's variations of it, and he does such a good job. You ought to see him pitch and stuff, and I'm going to jump to that question. What other sports do you play, and tell them what positions you play?
Football, obviously, quarterback. I play baseball, pitch, and I play shortstop.
He plays shortstop. He can gun it from any of those positions. Pretty good hitter, had a good batting average last year. He's hardest on himself. His coaches will coach him, and he takes the coaching, but then I'm going to tell off on him. Folks, he cares so much that he quietly fusses at himself when he doesn't attain the opportunities that he thinks he ought to as far as his skill, and he's very coachable. And anybody that says he's not, I see him more than anybody but his coaches and his parents, because we do the baseball games too. Class of 2025, so this means I get to work with the same quarterback 2 years in a row. Actually, it's 3, because you finished out the season with some great performances, especially Middle Tennessee Christian. You've been at Jackson Christian a long time. How many years?
Since junior kindergarten.
Wow.
So however many years that is.
Besides the food, what's some fun activity? You've been there that long. What do you like at Jackson Christian?
Favorite activity? Probably elementary field day.
Oh, wouldn't that great?
Days.
I've been
Yes,
to
sir.
a couple of those. Those are something else. And I know you're a very smart young man and articulate. What's your favorite class, and who's the teacher of that class?
Favorite class? Well, I'm a big math guy, but favorite teacher has to be Miss Baker.
Okay. We have a lot of mathematicians, don't we, Coach?
That's right.
And favorite sports memory? And he's had a bunch of them, folks. This is almost an unfair question.
Probably the comeback last year against MTCS.
Yes, and boy, they had the weirdest running game. It's a version of old single wing, and of course that was your favorite football moment too. What about Bible verse? I know there's a very religious young man. What's your favorite Bible verse?
Oh, it's always been Philippians 4:13. I've wrote that on my baseball glove, on my wrist. Played football games since I've been born, really. It's always been my favorite one.
Not only does he read defenses, Coach, he read my mind, because I happen to know I was going to ask him about his baseball glove and all the places he has that, and he lives it. And we've already talked about other sports and got that. Now, you've got more than one hobby. What are your hobbies?
I love fishing, hunting, really just hanging out with the guys outside of sports. Just doing fun stuff, really.
Absolutely. Now, do you make your grandfathers go fishing with you? Both
Yes,
of them
sir.
are good guys, and I bet they do too. What's a fun fact, something we don't know about our quarterback?
I'm a really good cook. I can cook just about anything.
Just about. I may have to come invite myself over to your house. And great job. We've got a big game this week. But you know what? It's non-region, but we still, hey, if we light up the scoreboard, we play to win, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's your turn to say anything you want to all of those Jackson Christian fans out there.
Well, I am going to thank my line again and the coaches and Coach Reichard with his flamboyant play calling that night. And come out to good pasture. Go Eagles.
Absolutely. And, Coach, if you don't mind, I think let's just keep Austin here with us, and he can chip in. We'll close the show out from this unless we need to do something different. This is a very special time. We've had 2 good performances. Our kids we got a trip. It's a long trip, and we're going to do fine. The kids are going to do fine. It's those old folks traveling up there. First of all, either one of you got any tips for them on how to get to good pasture?
No. We should ask Coach Phillips. He was talking earlier in the week about the traffic and all those different little intricacies there. But we'll get the boys out after 4th on Friday, and we'll get on the bus and make a trip to Nashville. We'll stop and eat. We're trying to break it up for them and be as close to our normal routine as you can. It's similar to traveling for the playoffs and things like that, so it's good experience for our guys, and you know they'll have to return the favor next year. So we get them on the schedule and we go there first, and there's some excitement about it. You get to travel with your team. Always they get pumped up about being out of school early and those things. So we're excited, but you're going to a place, and Coach Phillips hit on this, with a ton of tradition, with a ton of talent, athletes. You turn on the film, they have size, they have speed. The quarterback is a load to bring down. He's really physical. He'll turn around and play middle linebacker for him on defense. So we are trying to utilize our depth right now. Our 3 defensive linemen, they just play one way right now. Our offensive linemen, and if we don't need them on defense, they're kind of getting some rest and tweaking things and getting with their coordinator. And so that gives us an advantage. And hopefully, the heat, we want it to cool off because we don't want it to be so hot. But I think the heat kind of helps us.
It's supposed to be about 87.
Yeah, and I think the heat kind of helps us with our guys that just go one way. I think we wore Peabody down. You saw some cramps and some different things, and so we kind of, there's no excuses. You're traveling, who cares? All those things. When it's time to play, it's time to go. we got to strap it up and go. And so we're excited about the opportunity. We know folks will travel. Our folks always travel well. I do believe it's $10 at the gate for admission. They can obviously watch online if they don't make the trip. And
it is free. I want to emphasize that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our broadcast is free. Talking to some of those guys today, Reed and those. How many of those guys you think will make the trip? Do you think we'll have any of our student section there?
Oh, we'll have the student section there. Reed Cooper's got them.
So it's been awesome to see. Folks travel and get excited, and we talked to Dr. Lonas. Absolutely.
I got to ask both of y'all, and both of you, I want you to comment. We call it playing team football and stuff. I really think in our case we play family football because it's a family on offense, defense, special teams, and it's more than just the team. It's the whole family. Y'all have any thoughts about that?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I agree with the word family. Coach Palmer preaches that to us, and it's what we are. We're not just a family on the football team, not just family in any other sports. We're family outside of school, in the classrooms, wherever we are. Jackson Christian is one big family.
Absolutely.
And I think, too, we talked about this on the show last week maybe, with Jalen being banged up this summer, the end of the summer, we had guys that stepped up and got a ton of reps, and they had on the same page with Austin. And so that's going to be the key moving forward is how many guys continue to contribute like this. When you have 6 different folks score, I mean, that's huge. And you're going to play teams that are going to do everything they can to take Jalen away. And you know that's coming. And sometimes it may work and sometimes it may not. But, Daniel stepping up, Trent stepping up, our backfield. We hadn't even talked about Deuce, Lawrence, and Easton getting yards on the ground, kind of loosening up the defense, and so you don't want to ever be one-dimensional, and so our defense goes out. Coach Phillip talked about it. If our offense wants to go for it, go for it. Our defense will get a stop, and that's kind of our mentality right now. It's not cocky, but it's just confident in what we do in practice and in our training and our weight room, and so it's just it's awesome to see. And Tuesday nights for me kind of start that because you get into Wednesday and you're on the downslide of the week and start getting excited about Friday and watching these guys play.
Quick final comment from both of you. We've got a little less than 2 minutes. Anything else that we need to say? Anything they need to watch for Friday night, Austin? About 6 touchdowns? Not necessarily, but you either throw in or hand it off.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. Coach, you got the final mic, and then I'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. We talk about opportunities, and this is our 3rd one. And, scoreboard works out for how it's going to work out if we go play hard. And if our defense keeps playing hard and flying to the football, and if our offense keeps holding on to the football and taking care of it and executing and doing the right things at the right time. And we're excited for Friday night.
Absolutely. This is a copyrighted broadcast. Gary Lockhart, our producer, director tonight, executive producer Paul Schulze, Worthy Road Studios. We'll have pregame show at 6:30. I'll tip you off. Ronnie Carter, former executive director of the TSSAA and one of the biggest Jackson Christian fans. The only reason he's a little bigger Good Pasture fan is his son's the athletic director who used to coach baseball at Jackson Christian and played at Freed Hardeman just like Coach Bullard did. We will have the free broadcast at 6:30 on the Jackson Christian Facebook. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock, and it's time to say thanks for your time this time till next time. Good night, all.
The BallGame Blitz Sports Network by Worthy Road Studios. With over 750,000 views in 2022, we are where you need to advertise. Please subscribe to our Worthy Road Studios YouTube channel and join the other 4,000 subscribers watching local sports.
The Jackson Rockabillys, Union and Bethel Universities, USJ, TCA, JCS, and Peabody.
Our multi-camera broadcasts include slow motion instant replay, on-screen scoreboard and graphics, and professional announcers.
Thanks to the sponsors who make it all possible. BallGame Blitz Sports Network by Worthy Road Studios, the premier sports broadcast network in West Tennessee.